Hey everyone, Soya here. In today's video, we'll be jumping into the exciting new expansion, The War Within, and focusing on the Protection Warrior. This guide will take you through everything you need to know to dominate this tank in the new chapter of World of Warcraft. We'll cover talents, abilities, rotation, and the latest changes so you can keep your group safe. Let's jump into it. Starting with talents, the War Within expansion has brought some notable changes to Protection Warrior. While the core talent tree remains mostly unchanged, the removal of the Cheat Death trinket has now led to an ability like Battle-Scarred Veteran becoming more appealing. This talent activates when you drop below 30% health, reducing incoming damage by 80% for 8 seconds, and it's on a pretty low cooldown, just 3 minutes, and there's trackers you can get for that. But for the most part, these talents and their variations have remained the same. You're able to change around a few talents to either get Blood Surge. Enduring, this one was nerfed. It still does provide 8% armor and stam, but they reduced the armor and stam and the haste amount, so probably not taking as much. But I would say you can keep current talent variations to what is currently on live to carry over into beta, and this is just an example of one of them. And as for me, I will likely be running Battle-Scarred Veteran until I get a better feel for the keys, the dungeons, especially with no Cheat Death trinket. It's definitely going to become a more valuable talent to me. I actually have ran this on live with Cheat Death trinket, and I think it's a good compliment since Cheat Death trinket was on such a long cooldown. This one's on a shorter one. A lot of people don't like it, but I've definitely pushed some high keys with it. Now let's dive into the comparison Mountain Thane versus Colossus, which hero talent tree is better and why, and I'll kind of try to break it down. First we'll look at the Mountain Thane tree. This tree enhances abilities like Thunderclap and Lightning Strike, making strong AoE scenarios. It also provides utility through talents like Storm and Shield, which grants magic damage shield when using Intervene. This makes Mountain Thane a great choice for dungeons and multi-target encounters. Everyone might not take Innervate, but maybe at higher keys it might become more valuable as focuses more on survival for maybe some of the damage, not the tank. On the other hand, the Colossus tree focuses on powerful Demolish ability, which deals significant single target damage and provides defensive boost. During and after its channeling, this tree excels in more so boss fights and burst damage scenarios. Additionally, it offers consistent defensive benefits such as damage reduction from Mountain of Muscles and Scars, and making it ideal for maintaining strong defenses while delivering high damage. Ultimately, the choice between Mountain Thane and Colossus depends on your playstyle and the content that you're tackling. For strong AoE capabilities and the utility, I'd say Mountain Thane is the way to go. And that's likely what you've seen most streamers running in the past few weeks on beta. But if you do need some powerful single target damage or robust defensives, Colossus is a good option as well. For the most part, I've been mainly playing and testing with Mountain Thane. It's felt really good. And again, following the same theme of the general talent tree of Protection Warrior, these talents haven't really changed our playstyle at all. So we're still playing exactly the same. We're kind of just got these added benefits of, you know, this empowered Thunderclap and potentially, you know, the Innervate talent as well. Hopping back on live, since talents are for the most part the same, I just want to show where some flexibility could be over on the protection side. So really, the talents I feel like are more flexible is Enduring. That's 10% stamina armor. We got Blood Surge. It's going to be bleeds give more rage. More rage means more defensives. Then Thunderlord. Demoralizing Shout has a larger radius. And it's like a CD reduction. So I would say you can kind of play around with any of these three. Like if you feel like you don't need as much defensive, maybe you want to switch to Blood Surge and dump more of your rage essentially into revenge for more damage, and also it's good for defensive as well. A little bit less common, but I have seen more so on live, is you could switch out Enduring for Battle Scarred. That's probably going to be the play in the War Within. That, or if you want something more extreme, is you can get rid of these two, the shield charge. You can get the Battle Scarred and get the extra rage generation. I think a lot of people argue against this sort of build, but I've tested it a few times and I actually felt pretty tanky. So you're generating more rage, so you're able to heal more, put more of your dump into Ignore Pain, and then also you're getting the cheat death. And then what are you losing on? You're losing out on more shield block time and I guess a sudden spike in rage generation, but it's on a 45-second cooldown, which kind of feels long at times. But I would say you can probably play around in keys with all of those until you feel like you're at a point that it feels good and you like this. So, all right, next guys, we're gonna get into rotation. So for the rotation segment, I'm gonna start it off super basic, absolute beginner to warrior. You have no idea what you're doing. So for the most part, Shield Slam and Thunderclap, those are your two offensives, and then Revenge is gonna be your rage spender only if you don't need anything for defensives. You really only want to use Revenge when it's free. Otherwise, you're spending all of your rage into Ignore Pain and Shield Block. So when you charge in, see this purple bar here, that's what I set my weak aura to for my rage generation. You can dump it into Revenge, see it goes down. You can dump it into Ignore Pain, goes down. You can dump it into Shield Block, it goes down. So essentially, you can set up your weak auras any way that you feel comfortable, but this 30% here is, well, now 0%, that's my Ignore Pain tracker. It's just saying what percent of maximum Ignore Pain value I'm at. So when it's at 100%, I know that if I press Ignore Pain again, it won't count towards anything because I'm ignoring the maximum possible pain amount that I possibly can. And then number 2, the 0 down here, that is the shield block duration. These are the main things you want to track because these is the main things that will keep you alive. But essentially your offensive rotation, Thunderclap, Shield Slam, Shield Slam, Thunderclap. Just the second it's up, you can literally just smash your fingers on these two buttons at the exact same time. Shield Slam, Thunderclap. Super basic. That's all you're doing. And then if you get a free Revenge charge, which I have a weak aura that pops up when I get a free usage of it, you can pop it. Usually you do also want a Revenge at the beginning of a pull just for aggro generation. But otherwise, now that you got your offensive rotation down, which is literally just spamming Shield Slam, Thunderclap, that is actually it. Now you're going to start dumping all this rage into Ignore Pain and Shield Block. So you want to make sure your Shield Block never hits 0. You want to make sure your Ignore Pain is always as close to maximum or always up, essentially. So now we're spamming our Thunderclap and Shield Slam. At the same time, we can literally just spam our Ignore Pain and our Shield Block. So you see here, this weak aura in the front, that just tells me I have a free Revenge. But literally, all I do is I smash Shield Slam, Thunderclap, Shield Slam, Thunderclap, Shield Slam, Thunderclap, and then in between every single cast of these, I don't even look at what my rage is. I'm spamming Ignore Pain. And getting this habit down of just always spamming Ignore Pain non-stop, what this will do is allow you to focus on other parts of the map. So when you're able to effortlessly rotate to where you're doing the bare minimums, you know, we're not even getting into like your big defenses yet. Essentially, you just always keep your Ignore Pain and your Shield Block up at all times, Now I can look everywhere else except for my screen. So I can see that swirl there. I can check like boss timers, boss cast times, add cast times, see another cast there. So you don't really ever have to pay attention to like, oh, what's my health bar at? What's this at? What's that at? You can focus more so on the game and the mechanics and getting interrupts, which is the most important part in Keystones. So now that we got this down, we can get into our major cooldowns. So we got, you know, shield slam, or sorry, shield block and ignore pain up all times, right? That's covered. What we can now look at is avatar and demo shout. These are pretty much used on cooldown. So like this is the pack and I roll up. I'll go in, thunderclap, shield slam, avatar, demo shout. And now that'll get you some basic rage generation off the start. It'll get you some damage reduction, and then you just go into your rotation, which, as we spoke about, shield slam, thunderclap, and that's it. From there, so after I'm you know, good defensively, then we can throw out our Ravager, Thunderous Roar. That's gonna just generate more rage, so that I'm able to dump more into Revenges for more damage. And then I'm also able to focus more on ignore pain spamming to always keep those up and running at max level. Next, Spell Reflect and Shield Block. I would actually suggest there's the Warrior Discord. What you can do is you can look up like exactly what mobs and casters will cast things that are blockable, so that you never waste this ability. But essentially, yeah, when ad's casting on you and it's blockable, I have a weak aura for it. I plus shield block or spell reflect, depending on which one is blockable at the time of the cast. And it totally negates whatever that damage is. Next, we got our two big cooldowns, minus, you know, any trinkets, but we won't get into those. And that is our shield wall and our last stand. So last stand I really hold on to a lot. I really only use it if I'm starting to get really low. I'll pop last stand and it heals you for a chunk, and then also gives you a DR. And then there's also a talent you can take, so it also provides shield block. So that's like my good, I'm low, I need help, pop this now. And shield wall is also kind of that like, oh, I feel like this pack is gonna be really rough. You have two options with shield wall. You can either, before you even start the pack, you just go in, pop it, and then that'll give you enough time to have 0 rage, build up your rage, and then build up your other defensives, so that you're sitting really healthy. Your ignore pain's at 100%, your shield block's up, you're good. Because your shield wall helped you get there. It gave you time, and that time allows you to focus on rage generation and getting your other defenses rolling, right? So the other way you could use it, if you're feeling really comfortable, like you feel like a lot of these packs aren't hurting you at all, you can just save your shield wall for when, you know, you start to get a little bit lower. You know, you pop that, you'll feel invincible for a bit, and then you can go, you know, back into your normal rotation. Next is a basic stat priority, generally for Warrior, and since we're not really receiving many changes in the War Within from a rotational and ability standpoint, you're going to want to stack haste. So this is just like a general guideline of what the top warriors in the world currently have. So they're at 33% crit, 42% haste, 41% mastery, 29% verse. Warrior won't start feeling really good until you really stack up that haste. And then you also get bonus haste when you're around your party members through one of a talent. So even though it's at like 42, it actually bumps up to like, you know, 50 something when you're actually in a keystone with a bunch of players. So having the haste this high just allows you to spam shield slam and thunderclap a lot more often, generating more rage, therefore increasing your ignore pain. The main difference for the War Within being that you'll always kind of be starving for health a bit and needing that external healing, versus right now, like, your ignore pain is kind of all you need to stay alive in packs. As usual, Dwarf is probably the best class for Warrior because of their racial, removing bleed effects, which is something that Warrior's notoriously weak to. And yeah, that's going to be it, guys, for the video. Thanks for sticking around. I like to throw out this slide on kind of the last part of my video for guides, just to show who's talking. It's my first time ever playing Prot Warrior. I am not a lifelong or long-term Prot Warrior. Season 4 Dragonflight is the first time I've ever even touched it, and I'm debating whether to go into the War Within. I'm kind of between Prot Warrior and Guardian Druid right now. Both are feeling really good to me. Prot Warrior, just a little hair not as good, but that might be a gear related thing, not getting enough haste. But I like to just show this up to show who's talking. I'm not claiming to be the best Prot Warrior in the world. I hit 3.3 KIO in the season, pushed what to me is decently high keys, and I only pug groups. I don't have a team or a group I run with. All my keys are just me queuing in Group Finder or trying to get a good group together, and if I'm lucky enough for someone to take my Prot Warrior, pushing IO. I do anticipate pushing a lot higher in the War Within, as I'm starting to take tanking a bit more seriously and kind of looking to see if I can find a team. Yeah, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for sticking around. Soya, thanks.